Is your scalp feeling tight, sore, or like it's just on fire some days? Sis, this is not just stress. It could be your hormones sounding the alarm. What if I told you that your hair loss might be linked to an invisible battle happening right under your scalp? And that battle has a name, DHT. Stay with me because what you're about to learn could quite literally save your hairline. As Black women, we already navigate such a complex relationship with our hair. Our gorgeous kinks, curls, coils are full of so much strength and vitality. But our hair is very vulnerable to hormonal shifts, far more often than we're told. And then add in just the cultural stresses, the historical medical neglect, and products just not made with us in mind. It's no wonder that our crowns suffer in absolute silence. But today, we are breaking that silence. So let's talk about DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. DHT is a potent form of testosterone. And while it's natural, when we become sensitive to it, problems start. Dermatology research shows that DHT binds to receptors in your scalp follicles, gradually shrinking them over time. This is called miniaturization, and this is quoted from the International Journal of Trichology in 2017. When follicles miniaturize, they produce thinner, weaker hairs until they eventually stop producing hair altogether. This is crazy. And yes, it shows up differently in us. Our hair, being tightly coiled, already faces tension at the scalp. Especially if we're doing these tight protective hairstyles. This will ultimately make DHT-driven shrinkage even more damaging. Here's a kicker. Scalp soreness and tightness, that's actually a sign of inflammation and reduced blood flow caused by DHT-induced stress on follicles. I'll say that again. If you have scalp soreness or tightness, that's a sign of inflammation and reduced blood flow caused by that DHT-induced stress on follicles. So now that we understand that DHT is such a bad thing to have and it could quite literally be having our follicles on a chokehold, let's look into the more lesser known facts or overlooked connections between DHT and other things. So for example, DHT and your diet. Guys, could you actually be eating DHT without knowing it? Perhaps. Highly processed foods cause inflammation. You cannot tell me otherwise. Because when you're eating all this excess refined sugar, refined carbohydrates, everything that is on your plate is brown. There's no greenery, there's no reds, there's no purples, there's none of that. It's just sugar and more sugar. This constant eating of processed foods causes inflammation, and that worsens the effects of DHT. DHT is already bad enough, but adding fuel to the fire with sugar is making it 10 times worse. And studies from the Journal of Clinical Investigation in 2019 showed that high sugar levels in your diet elevate insulin, which triggers more androgen production, including DHT. So if you're eating sugar and you're addicted to sugar, you need to watch this video. Another very overlooked is the link between DHT and stress. Chronic stress, we already know it raises cortisol. But what you don't know is that chronic cortisol in your body amplifies the androgen activity. And guess what? That leads to an increase in DHT. And honestly, I have a source that says from the American Psychological Association that Black women statistically face higher cortisol stress levels due to systemic factors. But I cancel that in the name of Jesus. We are stress-free in Jesus' mighty name. So if you haven't heard of Jesus Christ, I urge you, come. He's waiting for you. Have a relationship with him. That is the single most efficient way to relieve your stress levels, to go to your creator and be with him. Another very overlooked fact when it comes to DHT is your medication. Birth control and certain fertility drugs can actually spike androgen levels, but very few doctors actually mention this when they're prescribing their medication. So if you haven't already, rip open your prescription box and look at that leaflet, because knowledge is power. If hair loss is one of the symptoms or side effects faced by that drug, then we need to do something about it, because we're not trying to be bald-headed just because of medication. I'm not saying drop all your prescription medicine, but perhaps look for alternatives. Ask your doctor, is there anything else I could take? Or I truly believe that medication is great, modern science is great, but ultimately they're not really solving the underlying issue. Find ways to help heal your body from within, and then find ways to gradually come off this medication with your doctor. Another very overlooked connection is the connection between just being black and DHT, because melanin-rich scalps, so black hair, produces more sebum, which traps that DHT, that hormone, closer to your hair follicles, and that ultimately accelerates the follicle sensitivity. So as black women, we need to be doing more to protect our hair from that excess DHT. This is not a hopeless battle. Here are some solutions you can be doing from today. Number 1 is an anti-inflammatory diet. I will speak about this until Jesus comes, because what you put in your body is ultimately going to create an environment for hair growth or hair disaster. So prioritize the nutrients that are so essential for hair growth. Make sure you're eating things like leafy greens, berries, fatty fish, zinc-rich foods like pumpkin seeds, because zinc actually helps block the enzyme which create that DHT. Number 2 is scalp massages, because these daily scalp massages, they're not a fad. They actually increase blood flow to your scalp, and that's going to help combat that shrinking of the hair follicle, which is caused by DHT. And then make sure you're adding natural oils like peppermint, like rosemary, like pumpkin seed oil, because these have all been clinically shown to help encourage growth and block that DHT. Number 3 is stress management. As I always say, turn to Jesus, because he's our creator and he knows everything. Because when you're reducing your stress, you're reducing your cortisol levels, and that's going to ultimately help you not only with your hair growth, but for your life. 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is supplementation. If you're black, you are vitamin D deficient. So make sure that you're supplementing with crucial vitamins and minerals for hair growth. Things like zinc, omega-3 fatty acids using cod liver oil, vitamin D, of course, and also biotin. My last tip is to, of course, use topical treatments, because when you're looking for more natural alternatives that don't have the harsh side effects like normal medications, these are going to be things that are going to help gently calm down the inflammation and nourish your hair follicles. So things like, of course, as I mentioned, peppermint oil, rosemary essential oil, amla, also ashwagandha, green tea. These are all great topicals that you can use in your hair mask, in your DIY oils. That's going to help stimulate that hair growth. And this is exactly why I started Ominira Naturals. I made it my mission to make scalp-loving solution tailored to us. Our botanical scalp and hair oils are crafted with rosemary, with peppermint, with pumpkin seed oil, with amla, all of these great nourishing oils and herbs that are there to nourish your body, not work against it. So there's absolutely no gimmicks, just nature-backed goodness for your crown. So if this video has made you rethink everything about your scalp health, I want you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button so this message reaches more sisters like yourself. Number 2 is to drop a comment. Have you ever felt that scalp soreness before? Let's talk about it. And number 3 is to finally subscribe, because in my next videos, I'm going to be talking so much more about hormones, about everything that you need to have a thriving hair growth year in 2025. So I've been Janet, you guys have been amazing, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye for now.